because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncers' guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Colin McGuigan for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to be joined by the main man this week, Michael Conlan in Belfast. Mick, your homecoming, probably at a point later in your career than you thought you'd be getting this opportunity in Belfast. When the Leeward fight happened, it was obviously tough for you at the time. How special is it to be home in Belfast fighting for a world title?
Yeah, I suppose, not a homecoming because I've been home for the last 3 now. But in terms of my first world title fight at home, yeah, it's probably a bit longer than what I expected, but no, we're still here. I'm looking forward to it. It's an exciting time. It's going to be an unbelievable fight. It's going to be an unbelievable night, and something I'm relishing.
I've spoke to the different people in your gym, Kurt, H, Abbas, Harlem. They all refer to your mentality and something that they've never experienced before, not just in boxing but in life, someone with the mentality you have. Where's that came from, and is that been instilled into you as a young amateur through the Olympics and things like that as well?
I think it's growing up in the house with 4 brothers. The competitiveness has always been there. Me being the second youngest is part of that, and having to compete against brothers all the time. I think that's probably where the competitiveness comes from. But the drive to be the best they can be, and knowing that, having the knowing that it's in your own hands to create your own reality, and if you're not giving 100%, you're not going to get your 100% back. So partly probably that, yeah.
Whenever you think of the times you came to watch Jamie in Belfast, for example, and you always envisaged yourself on this big stage for a world title fight in front of your home crowd, that minute when you step out in front of the home crowd, Grace, I'm sure, will be playing. What will that moment mean to you and your family?
To be honest, I can't really think about that. I've got to focus on the fight, and that's the main thing. The walkouts and all that there, yes, I enjoy them and stuff, but my main focus is the fight, and I'll enjoy the walkout and I'll soak it in, yes. I know it'll mean the world to my family and me probably after, but at the minute it's just beating this Alberto Lopez.
You have to, you saying that, Ruiz, you have to be given credit for the fights that you've taken. So you fought Mariaga, who's a puncher. You stopped Gurphy inside a round. Have each of those moments built up to this point now where you feel that you're ready to beat someone of Luis Alberto Lopez's calibre?
Yeah, listen, I don't think I'm not in that conversation of that calibre of fighter. I think that I showed my levels in the Leeward fight, and the end of being unfortunate. It is what it is, you know what I mean. But I think my level of being in the same kind of breath as the champions is normal now. People know that, so I think their fights have set me up, but I haven't made me believe that I'm in that kind of league. I've always known that I'm in that league.
A lot of people will say for 11 rounds you boxed the ears off Leeward, you boxed brilliantly, you showed levels to your performance as well. A lapse of concentration of 30 seconds and you lose that fight. How tough and how low of a point were you at mentally after that fight?
Yeah, it was hard. It was tough to be, tough to lose for the first time, tough to be knocked out for the first time. But you can't sit and feel sorry for yourself in this game, as time waits for no man, so you needed to kind of get back on it as soon as you possibly could, and that's what I've done.
What experience did you take from those moments and those downtimes? And I know obviously you leaned on your father, for example, your coach Adam Booth, your brother Jamie, but what have you taken from that experience into now, and does that make you a better, more dangerous fighter?
Experience is what I've taken from it. Going through that experience in a 12-round fight at a ferocious pace when I'm trying to blast someone out and they're not going right up until the end, then obviously it slips away from me then. So experience is the main thing I've taken from it. Knowing when to push, when to hold back a little bit, all those little things, they all are experiences from the fight, and I'll take them away.
I interviewed Lopez yesterday. He was very bullish in his comments. He said he was coming here to win, and in the first few rounds he would end the fight. Is that the type of fight that you're expecting? I know you've prepared for all sorts of Alberto Lopez's, but on Saturday night, are you expecting him to push you early?
Yeah, I think you see most of his fights. He puts a big push on from the start, from the first bell, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. He thinks he's going to get a stoppage, but I don't think so, man.
In terms of what you need to do on Saturday night, I know you've said on stage at the press conference today you'll just do everything better than Lopez does, but what are his weaknesses and what can you do to exploit those on Saturday night?
There's an awful lot of weaknesses, and you'll wait the Saturday night to see how I exploit them. But there's an awful lot of things I've seen there. Even the things that work best for him will work against him in this fight, and he's a good champion. He's like today, obviously very respectful. When we're face to face, and it's the way it should be. We're two fighters. We're getting there, putting it all on the line. So I have respect for him, but I know where I can see holes in his attacks, his aggression, his defense, and everything. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Nick Ball's on this card. He's been quite vocal in terms of saying that he wants to fight the winner of this fight, putting himself in this conversation. I asked Nick Ball yesterday if he maybe fancied a fight against someone like Jazza Dickens first, the Battle of Liverpool. He didn't really respond to it that much and kind of turned the conversation again on the Euro Lopez. Is that a fight that you would welcome next, or you think that there's levels and maybe right now Nick Ball isn't at that level?
I'm not thinking about anybody else but Lopez at the minute, but no, Nick Ball is a good fighter, no doubt about that. You've watched him and everybody's seen him and we've been talking about him and stuff. But yeah, listen, go and beat a few more guys, be the champion in your own city, and then move on to what you got to do. And he'll probably be in the mix sooner rather than later. But it's not something that I think about. Him and Jazza, I think it'll be a great fight. Both from Liverpool, Jazza used to be in the same gym as him, so it would be interesting. But who knows?
I know you're fully focused on yourself, but I do need to ask with the other fight across in Manchester this weekend, how do you think that finishes, and would you welcome a unification against either of those next?
I think it finishes quicker than last time. I think Lara does them quicker than the last time, and listen, if any big fights after this, once I have to win the belt first, but yeah, once I win the belt, I'm happy for any unifications.
Well, Mick, last but not least, you've recently signed a big deal with OnlyFans. People out there are wondering, what does this entail? What will they get if they subscribe to your OnlyFans? What's on offer there? We see a lot of athletes and a lot of boxers at the moment are with OnlyFans, so can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, we've signed a deal with OnlyFans, and it's more of a sporting partnership. I'm not going to be getting the Micky out, but it's good. You're getting loads of behind the scenes content which people don't see. There's some stuff on there now. There'll be stuff on there all this week, throughout this week, of stuff that doesn't go on my Instagram and stuff, and behind the scenes content of what's going on. Before press conference, after press conference, like the weight cut now you'll get. So yeah, it's worth signing up to. I'm free to subscribe to. So it's a great site. We're getting the OnlyFans getting into sport, and obviously they're branching out through boxing, and no better way to do it than a big fight week here in Belfast.
Well, Mick, thank you very much for your time on a busy fight week for you. We'll catch up after Saturday night. Really appreciate your time, mate.
Yes, mate. Cheers.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up, Harry.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,